Have you ever really stopped to think about the physical power of your words? I mean, we usually think of them as just sounds, right? But what if every single word you spoke was like a tiny chemical instruction, literally changing the brains of the people you work with? Well, let's dive into how that actually works. It's a pretty wild question, isn't it? Because the answer is a huge yes. Every single day, in every meeting, every email, every casual chat, you're basically a chemist. You're mixing these invisible cocktails of hormones, things like cortisol and oxytocin, in the minds of your colleagues, whether you realize it or not. So here's the core idea we're working with today. And this is not a metaphor, it's neuroscience. Every single interaction you have is a neurochemical event. And when you add up all those tiny reactions day after day, that's what literally builds the culture and the reality of your entire organization. And this really gets to the heart of it. We have a choice. Our language, the words we pick, can flip one of two very powerful switches in the brain. One path leads to fear and survival mode, and the other, it leads to trust and innovation. Let's talk about that first one. Welcome to the stress circuit. Think of this as our brain's ancient alarm system. You know, it was designed to keep us safe from saber-toothed tigers. The big problem is it can't always tell the difference between a real threat and, say, a poorly phrased bit of feedback. So whenever we use words that sound even a little bit judgmental or critical or defensive, we directly trigger this part of the brain called the amygdala. And that's like slamming the big red panic button. The brain just immediately shifts into high alert, getting ready to fight, flee, or just freeze up. And the fallout from this is huge. Once that alarm is blaring, our ability to listen just plummets. Our thinking gets super rigid and defensive. The brain is literally closed off to new ideas. Our working memory shrinks, and the focus instantly snaps from how do we fix this to whose fault is this? So here's the bottom line. You just can't get good collaboration or creative problem solving when people are stuck in survival mode. But, and this is the good news, there is another way. We can choose to activate the complete opposite reaction, the trust circuit. And this, my friends, is where the real magic of high-performing teams happens. So instead of triggering fear, words of appreciation, encouragement, respect, even just simple clarity, do something pretty amazing. They light up the brain's reward circuits. They release chemicals like oxytocin, which is what makes us feel safe, connected, and like we're all in this together. And the results of flipping this switch are just profound. Activating the trust circuit creates psychological safety, which is the absolute foundation of any great team. And from that feeling of safety, everything else just flows. Creativity blossoms, people step up and take more responsibility, and you get this amazing, spontaneous collaboration that you don't even have to force. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? You cannot ask a team to be innovative, to take smart risks, to push the boundaries, if their brains are secretly stuck in survival mode. Safety, which is built one word at a time, is truly the non-negotiable ingredient for any kind of progress. Okay, so we get the why, now let's get to the how. This is all about building a kind of practical dictionary, making really conscious choices with our language to open conversations up instead of shutting them down. Let's start with giving feedback. You know, saying you made a mistake is a direct shot to that stress circuit. It's an accusation. But if you just shift to, I've noticed this impact, wow, that changes everything. It's an observation, not a judgment. It opens the door to a constructive conversation about the outcome, not an attack on the person. Okay, here's a direct chemical switch you can make in your next meeting. Asking, whose fault is it, literally floods everyone's brain with the stress hormone cortisol. It's a total dead end. But asking, what's the solution, does the exact opposite. It helps release oxytocin, that bonding hormone, and it instantly pivots the entire group toward collaboration and just moving forward. And finally, one for our meetings. The phrase, we have to do this, just feels like a chore, right? It implies there's no choice, and it can create resistance. But reframing it as our goal is, that creates alignment. It builds a shared sense of purpose. And remember, this isn't just about sounding nice. It's about the real chemical impact these words have on people. All right, so how do you actually put all of this into practice? You can start making a real change today with a super simple, really powerful action plan. I'm talking about a 2-minute ritual to set your intention before any important conversation. That's it, just 2 minutes. That is literally all it takes to completely shift the neurochemical landscape of your next difficult conversation. So here's the ritual.
Before you walk into that tough conversation, just take 2 minutes. First, simply breathe. This helps calm your own nervous system down. And second, choose 3 key words to be your guide. Words like collaboration, solution, and respect. What this does is it primes your own brain to stay in the trust circuit, no matter how the conversation unfolds.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question. Think about your day tomorrow. All the meetings, the one-on-ones, the emails you're going to send. What is one conversation that you will intentionally change by using the power of your words? Because changing just that one conversation can start a completely new chemical reaction in your entire workplace.